best weekend on the water in the whole of the area. So I'm just hoping that everyone really enjoys themselves, gets to know each other, do a bit of mingling because we're all sailing in the same area, and yeah, and have an absolutely fantastic time. And yeah, I'll see you on the water in the morning.
I'll send it to Jim, I think.
Hiya everyone, it's really early in the morning on the 8th of July 2022, and I'm sitting on the end of the pontoon thinking, am I the only one out of bed at the moment? But there must be more people about, I'm sure, because it's going to be a very busy day. Because today in Conway, and there's Conway Castle, there's going to be a rally, and the rally's set by the North Wales Cruising Club, and the rally's set every year, and it's called the La La Rally. It'll kick off today, and we're off to Caernarfon today. We'll spend quite a bit of time getting there, as it's a no rushing day. Well, would you believe me if I told you this was the same morning, only 40 minutes later, when the sea mists crawled in? It's completely changed the day at the moment, and the hope of wind at the moment doesn't seem to be on the cards. But we've got to go anyway, and see what happens. Well, I untie my lines and decide I'm getting off. I want to get off before most people get off, because I want to get out there and do a bit of camera work, and hopefully I'll catch a couple of the other boats. So I need to get in front of most people. At this moment in time, I think there's actually 28 boats going, or me and 27 others. I think an ideal place to catch a lot of boats will be at Puffin Island, so they're all going through the sound. So I'm going to sail out to where I can, or motor out to where I can, and if that's a motor all the way to Puffin, so be it. But if there's a little bit of wind out there, I'll take that as well. Well, at this moment it looks typical of a summer. It's pretty bleak looking, with grey skies and grey water, but I can assure you the day will get a bit better. We have a really good forecast of light airs and warm temperatures, and it's the warm temperatures that's made this sea mist. Well, when the red hot sun gets to work, it'll burn this mist away and we'll be left with a lovely day. There's a couple of boats ahead of me there, so I might miss them on the camera. I'm not sure what the yacht is, but the big motorboat's called Roving. It's an easy motor out though, because the sea's got a slight on it, so we're moving quickly. We're with the ebb as well, and that makes things easy. And as I look round, I can see yachts dotted everywhere, so I wasn't up as early as I thought. Well, I motor along to Conway Buoy, which is C2A, and when you get to that point you can turn towards Puffin Island. Well, that's the point you can get your sails up if there's any wind and make a bit of use of it. Well, there was a little bit of wind, and I did make some use of it. Well, I got as close as I was going to get to the wind, and it looks like I'm going to be throwing a couple of tacks in to actually make it to Puffin Island. But when I look around, there's plenty of other boats with the same idea. Let's get some tacks in and let's get to Puffin Island. So, we're on the La La Rally. Well, what is the La La Rally? Well, the LA bit stands for Liverpool Arms, Liverpool Arms. And there's a Liverpool Arms on the front in Conway. So that would be the first LA. The second one would be in Menai, on the Menai Straits. Well, somewhere in the 20th century, somebody had the grand idea to have a race from the Liverpool Arms in Conway to the Liverpool Arms in Menai, and from the Liverpool Arms in Menai back to Conway, and whoever was back first was the winner. But there was a catch to make sure you actually did the race. I think it started something like this. You had started the bar in the Liverpool Arms. Soon as that first pint was down, it was off to the beach. Drag your boat off the beach, jump in it and sail it to the Liverpool Arms in Menai. Well, today I'll have to settle for a cup of tea, because I haven't had a pint before I started. Well, I'm quite sure they were much hardier sailors back then and better at the job. But when they arrived in Menai and got themselves to the Liverpool Arms there, they had to drink a pint again as fast as they could, and then get back to the boats and sail all the way back to the Liverpool Arms where they started off from, and that would be the finish. Whoever had the boat dragged up the beach first, they were the winner. Well, I haven't a clue if this is factual or not, or even if it took place, but certainly it's morphed into something, because this has changed a little bit now. We don't stop at Menai anymore, other than just to take a break. We now continue up to Caernarfon. Well, I can remember early on in the 90s going on my first la, and it blew my mind. It was such a good experience of sailing or cruising in a company of a load of people you didn't even know at the time. There was a chap called Harry, and I'm sure his boat was called Cloud 9. I think he's long gone now, but he were my early memories of the La Rally. And that means I've probably been attending it somewhere near 30 years now. But we definitely honour the tradition of having a beer or two when we get to Caernarfon. Well, when we get to Caernarfon, we normally stop there the first night, and the Royal Welsh Yacht Club there normally welcome us with open arms. The next day, a lot of people go over to a place called Menai, which you've seen in my other videos, a popular anchorage and great for a barbecue. That of course will be Saturday, as it's Friday today. And then the Saturday night, people are mostly just chill out and have a little sing on the boats or a drink. And we'll set off early on the Sunday morning to all come back where we started from, hoping, like today, to get a sail in. And as lucky people now, we all seem to be getting a bit of a sail in. Right, well that's Puffin Island there, so I may as well get myself in position to show you some of the boats that have taken part in this year's La Rally. John and Phil here are having a few years off sailing, I think, and having a bit of motorboating, but they are brilliant sailors. This boat's a long keeler, a Samphire 29, crewed by Andy and Fraser. And it looks like they're being chased into the Sound by Grand Slam. The Sound's got a bit of ebb going to it, so it's a slow haul through. Here comes Bro. Just look how slow they are going through the Sound against that little bit of ebb. It looks like my brother's just been overtaken. He won't be too happy about that, will he? Seems to be plenty of power in that blue boat. Puffin Island always makes a good backdrop for taking some pictures. There's my brother taking his time in his Alban Vega. It's a lot quicker than me, so I've got to be careful what I say. The boats are all starting to slip through the Sound now as it lets them in. I think Harvester's an IP23, I think there were 3 motorboats in total. Cloud 9 is a Moody 38. And it looks like he's like me, likes a nice fender collection on the push pit. It's what the push pit was made for. Mayru, she's a Beneteau 311, the fin keel variety. This is Diego. Diego's a big Hunter 36, Hunter Legend, not the British one, the American one. My brother always tells him the mast's going to fall down if he's running because there's no rear stay. There's very few boats coming out of Puffin Sound. They're all going into Puffin Sound. And I think the actual ebb's starting to ease a little bit, so it's getting a little bit easier for the boats to slip past me. And that's exactly what they're doing, slipping past me as I sit here on my anchor. This boat here, this is the Commodore's boat. It's a Malo 38, and I think it's fit for a Commodore. Well, the boats just to keep coming and sailing past me one by one. And if you look to the left of the picture there, you can see them all slipping down the Menai Straits. They look quite nicely bunched now, except for a couple of odd strays ahead and a couple of odd strays at the back. After Carl's passed in his Beneteau, there's about another 7 boats to pass. Some of them are far too far away for me to get a picture of, and some of them are close enough for me to get a picture of, so I'm going to miss some of them. Some of them were creeping along by Anglesey itself, and I couldn't get them. There's Split Decision. He's the organiser, and he's miles away from me, so he gets a bum picture, and I'm afraid. Don't panic, Steve. I'll get a better one later. Like this fella, I don't even know who he is, but he's got a pretty boat, but he's going the wrong way. He's not with the Lala, that's why. Well, I'm starting to get near the end of the boats that are about to pass me now. There's only a handful left, and most of them are quite far away from me, so I can't get a decent picture of them at all. So they just get a little bit of a clip. It's hard to even make out what it says on the back of some of the boats, and unless you knew them, you wouldn't know which was which. But there you go, there's one last close one to come past me, and that's this one. And this is Bob, in his westerly 31, bringing up the rear. Well, almost. I think I'll tag on the back of him. I think I best start getting my anchor up now and get on the move. Okay, well, I've left Puffin Island now, so let me try and bring you up to speed. We started off here in Conway. We've tic-tacked our way all the way up to Puffin Island here, where I sat here and watched all the boats come through here. The boats are now all making their way down here, down the Menai Straits, and most of them will stop in between Beaumaris and Menai itself, just before the bridge, before the Swellies. This will give us all plenty of time for lunch. Then we'll continue on, all the way down here to Caernarfon, where we'll stop in Victoria Dock. The next day, when we're going to have a barbecue, it's going to be here on the beach at Abermenai, and then it's back to Caernarfon in the night again before coming home the following day. Now, getting some video footage from this side of Puffin Island wasn't as daft as it seems, because everybody else has had to sail through the Sound against the tide, but me, there's virtually nothing left of it now, so I'm slipping through lovely. So it almost turned out to be a top plan to take video, and I soon caught Bob up. Of course, I'm not really sure why I caught Bob up, so I think he must have a bucket trailing underneath his boat, because his boat should be faster, and it's got a much longer waterline length. But I was a gentleman, and if I were going to pass, I were going to do it on the leeward side, and I wasn't going to steal any wind. But I got stuck there for quite a bit in his lee. While we were sitting there, I don't think Bob was paying much attention, and the wind came round a little bit to the nose, and I tightened up the sheets, grabbed hold of some clean air, and made my way into a position where I could tack a little bit better. We both continued tacking down the straits, but we were restricted by the shallow waters. Swallow only having a shallow draft gave me the advantage over Bob, because we could run our tacks much further and get further on each tack. So that played to our favour, very luckily of course. But as usual, Swallow puts in a good performance, and we fly down towards Beaumaris, where we're going to meet my brother and have a spot of lunch. Hopefully anyway. Well, considering yesterday, I thought there might have hardly been any wind, especially with the forecast for sailing. But we seem to have done cracking up to now. I mean, we're close hauled, and we don't like being close hauled, but we're still having a lot of fun and making a lot of good sailing. Well, after I've had lunch, I set off before most other people and make my way down to Menai Bridge. I want to get down to Menai Bridge to set myself up somewhere so I can take a few more pictures. You can park your boat on a mooring here and row over to the beach or the jetty on your dinghy and go and have a couple of pints in there. This is Bangor Pier. It's quite a long one. And this is our beautiful Menai Straits, although it's not a very sunny day, so it doesn't look its best. It's like going to church with your jeans on until the sun comes out, and then it's like going with your good stuff on. If you follow, if you get my drift. There's the bridge, coming up in front of us. Menai Bridge in all its glory, the start of the Swellies. Here's a wave. The wave's for Mark, that's Mark's boat. Right, Mark? Well, what do we have here? It looks like the La fleet descending on Menai Bridge. I think they're all going to stream past me in one great big lump this time. Well, this is my best chance of showing all the boats, and I don't know whether I'll get 28. No, I don't suppose I can get 28, because I'm one of them, and I'm obviously not going to be on my own camera. And there's one boat that's going to follow on, which is Free Will, with Steve and Lorraine on. They're going to catch up later on. They're probably on the way now, but just leaving Conway. The rest of us, though, are definitely going to pass through the Swellies just now, which is slack water, and that's what we've been waiting for. This tugboat coming round the back now, that's part of the La rally. I think that's Matt and Co on there, and that will make 4 motorboats in total. I don't think the Swellies has ever been so busy in one go. I can see plenty of memories being made by a lot of people today as well. And this one, I think this is Sheena doing the Titanic while making a couple of memories. But most people just want to get through the Swellies and get them out the way so they can enjoy whatever is at the other side. Well, there's not a lot of wind, so it looks like it's going to be a motor up to Caernarfon. And when we get to Caernarfon, it's up to you, Anne, to get all the boats in some kind of an order. Well, that's not going to be any easy feat, I can assure you. Victoria Dock, though a fair sized dock, only normally has a visitor's pontoon that runs along the side. Well, you get, I think, about 4 or 5 boats on it on average, so everybody's going to have to be rafted, and that's what Ewan's up against, rafting all these boats together. Well, at least with the Swellies being a timed tidal gate, everybody wants to get through a little bit sharpish, which means I won't be sitting here for an hour like I was at anchor earlier on up at Puffin Island. This next boat, going the other way, used to belong to a sailor called Phil. God rest his soul, he's done the la on Midas many a time. Well, here comes Bob. Hiya, Bob. At least I know we're getting towards the back of the fleet when I can see Bob. And where's the hell's my brother? He's not there. Oh, there he is. He must have been hiding away. And look at this villager trying to sneak round the back to get out the camera shot. Didn't work. And this is the last one going through now, so I best catch up, hadn't I? Now, I never got chance to count all them boats, but there should have been 26 went through, and me being 27 and Steve Gorst being 28 on Free Will when he shows up in about an hour's time. It really is a nice day, despite me putting a woolly jumper on to keep warm. I just feel the cold a lot more these days. But watching Hobbit there, the blue boat in front of me, he just went straight over the top of the platters. He doesn't seem to care where he's going. He just knows he's got enough water underneath him, I suppose. But whether there's lots of water or a little water, I always tend to go straight through the Swellies on a particular course. And he's off course again there when you look at him. He's right over by the rocks, and I'm going for the leading lines. He obviously is just following his depth sounder, not worried. Well, I best speed up a little bit and catch him up because he's pulled away from me a little bit. There is, however, plenty of water, and there's not really much to worry about at the moment. And he's obviously not worrying, but I still just stare at the way I stare at because I think it's good practice, and of course it puts it second nature in your system. Well, there's Britannia Bridge behind me now. Caernarfon's about 6 miles from here, which shouldn't take too long. It's near enough about an hour, but I haven't got to rush much because I'm one of the small boats, and that means that I'll sort of be last in, or one of the last in, because as they get the boats in, they get them in by size, biggest first, and they put the boats on the boats and produce a little raft, and the little raft gets smaller and smaller normally as it goes towards the end. So if I find myself there first, well, I'd only be waiting till next to last or last to get in, so there's no sense in rushing. These are the moorings of Fellinelli, which is halfway really to Caernarfon. Well, from the Swellies halfway to Caernarfon. So just around the next corner, we'll be there anyway. Well, we get round the next corner and I can see there's still boats dotted round waiting to go in. So all as I do is sort myself out to tread water a little bit, because it's now flowing through the straits quite quickly and it would flush it out at Bell and Narrows given half the chance. Well, there ain't really many boats left, so I don't think I've done too badly for time. Well, if anybody's wondered where Lisa's been today, she couldn't come, she had to go to work, but she said she'd meet me here. So that's how come I'm getting some of this magical footage off the wall. So she's arrived in Caernarfon by car and I'm going to meet up with her when I get in. Meanwhile, she's standing on the wall with Yuan, getting me some footage. Well, Yuan, the dockmaster, has the job of calling the boats in one by one. He has a list of all the different sizes of boats and what the names are. And then he works out his rafts and bit by bit he gets them in and rafted up. It takes a bit of time, probably the best part of over half an hour, maybe even 3/4. But once it's done, it's done. Well, the boats have got small, and that's me you can see standing off just a little bit further out there. So now the little boats get time to come in. Well, you can actually see just how much current there is and where the wind is. The wind's blowing one way and the current's going the other way, and the result is Swallow going sideways down the Menai Straits. Well, it's unusual, but it's nice to see a picture of me from another perspective on Swallow coming in, the 27th boat, and behind me Steve Gorst and Lorraine on the 28th boat, Free Will. Well, it's one of those rare occasions I can give myself a wave. How's about that then?
Very good, thank you very much. Good, nice to see you. Nicely organised.
And here comes Paul on Hobbit, one of the stragglers. Just need RJ now. I think John and Phil were probably the first here, but near enough the last in. Closely followed by me bro.
Yeah, good you. Yeah, good to go. That's putting me downwind. I know. Keep you on your toes.
I think young Ewan has done a grand job packing all these boats in here. The uniformity of them all looks absolutely splendid. Well, this pontoon here that runs down the side, this is the visitors' pontoon. And as you can see from the very beginning there, some of the small boats in the Lala with the dinghies hanging off the back, to the larger vessels, moored in a very tidy bunch indeed. Well, everybody needs to get ready now and get up to the Royal Welsh Yacht Club, where supper has been kindly provided for us. And after a long day out on the water from very early this morning, I'm sure we're all looking forward to the refreshments. Oh, and there wasn't quite enough room on this pontoon for us all, so I'm moored with a couple of others over on the far pontoon in the distance just over there, with my brother on the outside. Well, we got ready and we dragged ourselves up to the Royal Welsh Yacht Club. Everybody seemed to be enjoying themselves there and getting something to eat and getting something to drink, and there was a nice atmosphere. And I got to tell you how good the food was. The food was absolutely first class. The Commodore of the Royal Welsh welcomes the La La Rally.
Just like to welcome the La La Rally to the Royal Welsh Yacht Club again. You could have brought a few more folks with you. But anyway.
Well, I'm sure we were all very, very thankful that he did welcome us and that they did provide lovely tucker for us as well, and the refreshments were nice. But most of us are tired, and within a couple of hours we'll start dropping and be wanting our beds, and a lot of us are getting up early tomorrow morning because we've got the rest of the La La Rally to do, which means going over to Abermenai for a barbecue. Just look at that superhero over there. That's Ewan, that is. He's the dockmaster. He's the chap who's just got all these boats in here, all sorted out nicely, and not finished, not gone home, but come in here, and now he's volunteered to help out at the bar. Man, he should have a cape on him. Well, this brings us to the end of the night, but also it brings us to the end of part 1. So I'll see you all again in part 2.
But no, it's great to see you. Have a good time. Drink the bar dry and look forward to seeing you again next week.